On ESPN, Ribalta pounded his way to a knockout win over Nate Robinson, and in the second round, the elections were over. Hey, what that overhand right has done some damage on Nate Robinson tonight. We're halfway through round 2, and there's the right hand. Ribalta sent to the neutral corner by the referee, Bernie Soto. Nate Robinson getting up slowly. Does not look that dazed from that big right hand, but he definitely saw some stars for a moment. And Ribalta comes wading back in to try to finish him here in the second. Robinson trying to counter. Now Soto said, that's it. Sends him to the corner. He'll stop the fight in the second round, and Nate Robinson has gone down to Ribalta for the second time these two guys have fought. Jose Ribalta may be fighting one of the biggest fights of your career, not only fighting Marvis Frazier, a good fighter, but fighting the legend of the Fraziers. What are your thoughts coming into the fight tonight?
Well, first of all, I'm not fighting Joe Frazier. I'm fighting Marvis Frazier. I'm not fighting. All he has right now, all Marvis Frazier has is a name and a grunt. And I have something for his grunt. I have a pair of socks I put in his mouth for the grunt. You know, and I'll fight both of the Frazier. I'll fight them both tonight if they want to. I'm fighting one Frazier, and that's Marvis Frazier. That's the only person I'm getting ready for, Marvis. And if his father want to jump in, he could jump in too.
One of the things that you wanted to do was put pressure on Marvis Frazier. How do you put pressure on Marvis?
Well, I'm gonna put pressure on him by getting off with my jab, and the right hand leads. Just backing him up by me throwing punches.
I think the one last question: can you win the fight tonight?
Yes, I will win the fight.
Well, a man that has confidence coming in against Marvis Frazier, Nino Ribalta. So many people recall the loss to Larry Holmes by Marvis Frazier. Well, it's something that he, too, even with the name Frazier, has trouble getting out of his head.
Mentally, all we really worked on was Marvis getting out of the way of Larry's jabs. Once we were getting out of the way of Larry's jabs, we got him beat. I even got so confident that, I dropped my hand because I said, man, I'm getting out of the way of his jab. He can't hit me with the jab, and I'm bobbing, I'm weaving. And next thing I know, boom, the right hand caught me. I said, what are you doing down here, Marvis?
It was the dream of a lifetime, fighting the champ Larry Holmes after only 10 professional fights. But it was a test that Marvis failed miserably. Now he worked every day to get another chance to pass the test to live up to the name Frazier. Marvis faced a similar setback in his amateur career, losing to James Broad in the Olympic trials. He was stopped in the first round. He turned pro after recovering from a pinched nerve he suffered as a result of that straight right hand. But 3 years later, he avenged that loss. It was his first big pro fight. Marvis put it all together and outpointed that same James Broad. That victory propelled him into that ill-fated title shot against WBC champion Larry Holmes. Down already in the first round after a vicious right, Holmes made an open season on Marvis. The champ pounded Frazier at will, asking the ref, Mills Lane, how many times he had to nail Marvis before the fight, if you can call it that, will be stopped. The answer came at 2:57 in the first round. And the mental anguish followed the loss.
Well, the fight was a thing of disappointment. Any step that you make that you feel is your ultimate goal and you don't reach that goal, there's a little disappointment. And it was just a thing where I was like, oh, man, Marv, you had it in your grasp and you let it get away. But, I was like sorry to my father, sorry to my wife, and to my family, because I feel I had let them down.
But the man pictured here in solitude in his gym in Philly knows about losing and about winning, and discounts those who say that the only similarity between the two is the last name.
Do about that. I am the father, and we live in a biblical way. On the basis, daddy words go. The Bible says, honor thy mother and thy father. So he honored me. It's not nothing that I want him to do. Some people says, well, how does you feel that you have to walk in your father's footsteps? Whose footsteps did he walk in? Yours? You had nothing to do with it. Nobody's else. It was me and the mother.
Indeed. And now Marvis has brought credibility back to the name Frazier. Since he lost to Holmes in '83, Marvis has won 4 straight fights, including a 10-round decision over James Quick Tillis. Finally, there are those who say Marvis is too small to be a legitimate heavyweight contender at 205. Ironically, that's what Smokin' Joe used to weigh in his prime. And Marvis is well aware that he must do exactly what Smokin' Joe used to do. Pound the body of the usually bigger and taller opponents.
I was going to put a lot of pressure on Nino, you know what I mean? A lot of big guys don't know how to fight on the inside. And I know he's going to be trying to keep me on the outside. He's probably going to be throwing a lot of right uppercuts, left uppercuts, let's say overhand rights, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm going to be looking for. And I don't think he's going to be able to deal with the pressure that I'm going to put on him. If I'm half as good as my father, I'll be all right.
No time to look back now, indeed, for Marvis Frazier, trying to climb back to the top with a possible shot at a championship once again. But he's got a tough customer in his way, and Nino Ribalta. Ribalta with a big punch. Marvis Frazier, that great inside game. It'll be two titanic bulldozers going at each other. We'll find out who'll win it. It's our main event, scheduled for 10. Let's meet him. Here's our ring announcer again, Michael Buffer.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the Trump Casino Hotel on the boardwalk in Atlantic City, New Jersey, let's get ready to rumble. This is the main event of the evening. Scheduled for 10 rounds, it's in the heavyweight division. The referee for this bout is Tony Perez. Introducing first in the red corner. He's wearing the red, white, and blue trunks and weighs 217 1/4 pounds. Originally from Cuba, now fighting and living in Patterson, New Jersey. His professional record, an excellent one. 18-2-1, 12 knockout victories. Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for Jose Nino Ribalta. And his opponent in the blue corner, wearing the burgundy with white trim and weighing 205 3/4 pounds, from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. His professional record, 14 victories, only 1 loss, 7 by knockout. He's a member of the Fightin' Frazier family, Marvis Frazier.
With Father Joe Frazier, trainer-manager, they get the instructions.
Those are your instructions this morning at your weighing, all right? I expect you to obey my commands. Is there any question at this moment? No questions? Shake hands. Good luck to both of you.
Both fighters ready to go. Nino Ribalta, a 10-round win over Ernie Barr, his last fight, July 23rd. And Marvis Frazier, good business-like approach against James Tillis and winning in 10, despite the fact he had a standing 8 count in the second round. He came on that undercard of Holmes-Williams fight out in Reno and won, and now he's in on the main event. Again, it's Frazier in the red, Ribalta in the red, white, and blue. Ribalta with that big right hand. That's what Frazier has to watch out for, and it's an overhand right. And I'm sure he saw enough of that from Holmes in his dreams to think about that.
You know he'll respect that. And you'll figure that he'll go to the body as soon as he can.
One of the things Ribalta told you and me today, Dave, was the fact he wanted to put pressure on Frazier. Frazier normally, a man that comes straight ahead and does the pressuring himself.
He figures that the right uppercuts and the straight rights will drive Marvis straight backward, and from there, that is where Ribalta figures his fight plan takes place.
As you take a look at both fighters, you see Ribalta with his coming into this fight 12 knockouts in his 21 fights. Frazier exactly 7 knockouts in his first 15 of his 14 wins, of course, have been victories by the knockout route. Ribalta again, you saw on ESPN, got a draw with Coffey, and of course the knockout win over Robinson in the 2 fights that he's had on ESPN. Ribalta will watch it closely with that tremendous height at 6'5" to 6 feet. 24-year-old Frazier, 22 for Ribalta. Ribalta with a good reach of probably up to 3 to 4 inches.
It should be significant if he wants to be stepping back as he throws punches. He'll stay out of the line of fire and still perhaps punch effectively.
Frazier has not been able to get inside. He's still just kind of looping punches here in the middle part of the first round. Looping punches high, I might add.
Got to sting somebody before he gets inside and starts to work. Ribalta moving well.
Ribalta kind of crossed him up with a pretty good-looking uppercut there for a moment. Minutes to go in round 1. Main event set for 10.
It's been tough for Marvis, too, because Ribalta has preferred to counter so far, and he's had his hands up in perfect position.
Marvis Frazier with that relentless Frazier style of just peekabooing in, trying to get inside, but again, punching very high at the moment. There you see it again with a looping left. Not trying to go downstairs as much as I thought we would see here in the opening round. So we'll find out how the corners will respond to this somewhat lackluster first round, and we'll have it for you in round 2 in a moment. Our main event now moves into round number 2. Marvis plays Frazier in the red. Red, white, and blue belongs to Jose Ribalta. Ribalta, originally from Cuba, moved to Miami with a family that included 10 children. Moved on to Patterson, New Jersey to work with Tommy Parks, and that's where he fights out of now. In the first round, again, neither fighter really taking that much advantage of the other day.
Ribalta effective with the right hand and keeping Marvis off trying to establish a nice pace from a countering attack. Marvis told between the rounds to pick up the pace, and I think if we see something from him, it will be ignited by a left hook.
I still did not hear go down to the body. I'm a little bit surprised that he does not kind of duck inside, lead in with a jab, and try to do something downstairs. Well, we'll watch and see how long it takes. I thought it would be. It is a different Marvis Frazier here so far in the first 2 rounds. By the same token, Ribalta may be trying to figure him out a bit, you know, that he's not where he's supposed to be.
He's been where Ribalta has seemingly wanted him so far. He's been touching with the right hand. He's been there. You never have to look for Marvis Frazier.
Boxing World watching ESPN's Top Rank Boxing tonight. Sam Smith along with Dave Bontempo. And our congratulations going out to Pete Rose, who's now the all-time hit champion against the San Diego Padres. Got that hit that put him over the number collected by the great Ty Cobb, and Pete Rose is the best of them all now. Our congratulations to Mr. Hustle. Ribalta again, just using that left jab, backpedaling up, standing and fighting when he feels he needs to.
It's tough to really mount an effective attack against a counterpuncher who is very defensive-oriented. Ribalta is patient, and it's been paying off.
Minutes to go in round 2. Main event set for 10 tonight. Ribalta very confident, as you saw in our interviews with him before the fight, and certainly at weigh-in today. He said, yes, this is a big fight for me. Certainly all of them are, but this one against a big name, and I'm going to take advantage of it. One thing he was not allowed to bring into the ring was indeed the sock to put in Frazier's mouth on the grunt. He'll have to take care of that with his fist. Frazier trying to pick up a little bit of the tempo. I don't think he picked it up enough, according to Father Joe Frazier. We'll find out as we'll move into his corner and find out if he was satisfied with this, the second round by his son, Marvis Frazier. There's the bell to end the second round. So as Frazier goes into his corner, here's Smoking Joe.
Yeah, you waiting a little long. Waiting a little long, you all right? Yeah. All right, now, put the head down. All right, taking too long to get in this game, boy. What the way? What the hook was up? You're taking too long getting done. You understand that? Too long getting done, son. You gotta be able to get to it and take that room away from it. Right. I think the room gotta be with get that head move when you fire down there. All right. When you fire down there, you gotta be there. Get down and get them off. All right. You're waiting to hold you too long for the damn book. All right. Sleep on the glove. For what? You just put them on there. Put them on there. My hand's wet. Come on. Check out, Val. Come on. Give it to me. Get the goddamn button, Val. I get the tape.
Well, let's hope round number 3 goes better than that corner work is going right now with some tape problems with that glove.
Get him off. Get him off. Your mouthpiece. Mouthpiece, Val. Mouthpiece, Val. I don't have a mouthpiece. Down on bucket.
Little blood showing from Marvis Frazier's mouth. They'll have to mop up some ice and some water after that bucket fell in Marvis's lap. They've got that cleared away, and we're in round 3 of the main event set for 10. Ribalta in the red, white, and blue, fighting out of Patterson, New Jersey now. Marvis Frazier out of the gym in Philadelphia.
I think Joe Frazier put it pretty well for Marvis between rounds, saying you've got to take the room away. You can't let the guy stay outside because that's really where Ribalta will prosper.
Well, as both these fighters come in, you see Ribalta has the one win coming into tonight's fight, that over Ernie Barr, while Frazier's won his last 4 since the loss in November of 1983 to Larry Holmes for the World Championship. By the way, only 2 minutes and 57 seconds before they finally stop the fight.
Frazier will have to unsettle Ribalta to get this fight turned around. Ribalta's got the pace he wants, and he's established a little bit of respect with the right-hand counter.
Frazier slipping a few more punches in here, at least in the 3rd. Ribalta missing with the right hand occasionally, giving Frazier a little bit of a chance to throw that left hand. Throws it again. Tony Perez, the 3rd man in the ring, being used much here early in the fight. Halfway through the 3rd. Frazier dipping inside, but then didn't do much work in there. There's that right hand. Little sound effects to go along with it.
Nice short left hook, too. That's the kind of thing he's got to do more of. But first he's got to cut off the territory, which he seems to be effective at doing now.
Much better than he did in the first 2 rounds.
Much better.
Ribalta somewhat content to just rest on the ropes for the moment. That's what he's normally done, is just kind of take a couple of punches, throw one of his own, and back away. Slip out of there.
It's different.
30 seconds to go in the round, being seen across the country and in Canada tonight, our top-ranked boxing show. Main event, Marvis Frazier against Jose Nino Ribalta. They fight on in the 3rd, scheduled for 10 in the main event. Frazier starting to make a little bit of more of a comeback here in the 3rd against the taller Ribalta. Occasion, they kind of take care of a trunk or 2 by Ribalta, and we're out into round number 4. As once again, Marvis Frazier, at the encourage of his own father, Smokin' Joe, comes out. Wants to do some of that smoking here in the 4th.
Ribalta's corner telling him not to back straight up, that if he wanted to back up, feint a little, go to either side so he could still be in some kind of a punching situation. Backing straight up in a line is not the type of fight he wants against Frazier.
Let's take a look at the unofficial scoring by Dave Bontempo, who's working with us tonight from the Atlantic City Press. Dave, how about 2-3?
I like Ribalta in the first 2 rounds. Frazier coming on to take the 3rd round.
And he's fighting well here in the 4th. Ribalta, again, I think a little taken back that he did not find Frazier where he wanted him early in the fight, but was having good success. And now he's finding Frazier right where he expected him, down underneath his elbows and punching to the body.
And allowing Frazier at this moment to walk that straight line. Like Marvis has figured figured out his steps more.
Ribalta tried to stand and fight not as often as he did in the early rounds, particularly with the pursuing Frazier. Marvis kind of exploding with a punch or two. Halfway through the fourth. At the start of the fight, just before we got started, you saw Marvis Frazier working on the bag, and you heard his routine. You can almost hear it again here in the ring. Working the bag the same way he's working on Ribalta here.
Ribalta has a good strategy against Frazier if he would step and punch a little bit more often. Being a little bit too selective in his offense.
Second time the mouthpiece of Ribalta has gone flying out. Tony Perez takes it and chunks it out of the ring.
Break it up.
Half a minute to go in round number 4 of the scheduled 10-rounder from Atlantic City at Trump Casino Hotel tonight. Ribalta catching Frazier coming in with a right hand. A bit of butting of heads that time, I think. Winding down in the fourth. Ribalta in control early. Frazier trying to pick up the pace and get the control back as we end the fourth. Welcome to your ringside seat here at the Trump Casino Hotel in Atlantic City as we start round 5 of our main event. Marvis Frazier against Nino Ribalta. You know, that loss to Holmes, the only one for Frazier, he kind of calls just a dash of salt. But ingredients going into what he calls a chocolate cake are all important. And you talked to him about that this week, didn't you, Dave?
He said that life is like a chocolate cake and that all the elements together, like the salt and the extract and the sugar, they may not all be sweet by themselves, but when you add it all up, you've got a beautiful cake. And he said you've even got some eggs in there to show you that life can be rotten once in a while.
But he said he's adding the sugar and things are sweet again with 4 straight wins, and he tries to add one here tonight, but against the much taller Ribalta, he's having literally an uphill battle. Well, both these fighters now moving into the 5th round. It's almost time for the fight to end for both, with the Ribalta average of just over 5, nearly 6 for Frazier in their early fights. 21 all told for Ribalta, 15 for Frazier. So things might start happening here.
This fight has really begun to settle into a type of a slow decision type pace, which Marvis has had 3 consecutive 10-round decisions. It's tough to topple these taller guys. He can box well enough to win the fights, but the power is always a question.
Ribalta, as far as the size is concerned, does indeed resemble still a good uppercut with a right hand by Ribalta against Frazier. Stunned him for a moment, and he tried to counter with a couple of shots of his own. But again, Tillis, another one of those tall opponents, a standing 8 count in the 2nd round against Tillis for Frazier may have literally saved him. He got a chance to come on, and he won that one by decision as well.
Guys like that are just tough to bring down. Got to really work a long time to the body, hoping that they weaken. And it doesn't seem like he's really been tearing Ribalta apart tonight, as he has in other fights, really working the body on his opponent.
Ribalta now has found that uppercut, kind of surprising Frazier with it earlier in the round. Now almost using it as a tempting weapon. When Frazier does indeed come headlong, kind of ducks his head and could run into one of those. Good inside combination by Frazier, but a good counter move by Ribalta. The last right hand landed flush on the face of Frazier.
He did a little feint to move himself inside and just about crossed over the hand as if there would be a clinching and a quick shot inside. He's got to do something.
And the key to Ribalta getting that right hand, let's harken back to a couple of rounds ago. They said when you move, you got to move at angles. He did. Moved to the right, landed with the right hand, and did well as we near the end of round 5.
Ribalta's best weapon so far coming right up the middle as Frazier tries to take the pace attacking.
Well, as we open this, the 6th round of a scheduled 10-round main event, Marvis Frazier against Nino Ribalta. Ribalta with his back to you, red, white, and blue trunks. They wanted him to dig that right hand to the body a little bit more. Indeed, if it is an uppercut, fine. But if nothing else, just use the straight right hand and go down low on Frazier. He so far is answering instructions here in the 6th. Ribalta's corner also, as we have the privilege of listening in, they feel that their man is now losing the fight 3 rounds to 2.
They weren't very impressed with the last round. I guess I saw it a little bit differently than they did. He seemed to be effective coming up the middle with those punches. They thought that he wasn't doing it enough in that round.
Could have just been that round as you gave to Ribalta 3-2, or actually 3-2 in your scoring now. So in the eyes of those that watch it ringside, I guess, is the way. With 3 judges scoring here in New Jersey. Ribalta also made a comment in the weigh-in quickly here. He said he hasn't felt he's really gotten the benefit of the doubt, to use a lesser phrase, I guess, with the judges. And we asked, do you think you got to get a knockout? He said, I just got to box effective enough to impress the judges. And I guess that's what he's got to try to do.
Very effective, he said he would have to do. He didn't quite say he'd have to win by a knockout, but he thought he needed a sterling performance.
That's right. Warning there by Perez to keep that right uppercut a little higher than it was landing on Frazier. Depends on what angle you're watching the fight. Of course, a punch or two here or there can certainly sway around. And in our last fight with Marvin Mack winning a split decision over Tim Brody, kind of a surprising scorecard at 4-3-1 with the other cards top-heavy towards Mack, who, by the way, won the semifinals of the Eastern and the light heavyweights. Now we'll meet the winner of one of our fights next week, either Kevin Kelly or Keith Vining. They'll be fighting on Top Rank Boxing next week. Half a minute to go here in round 6. Some tape on the right glove of Marvis Frazier starting to come loose a bit. Maybe near enough the end of the round that Tony Perez will not stop the action here to get it corrected. As Frazier now fighting very well at the end of this, the 6th round. Ribalta, who had taken advantage early in this fight, now struggling a little bit. As Frazier starting to find his game plan and appreciation of the crowd as Ribalta, along with Tommy Parks, has some work to do in the corner.
Well, you got your eyes open at what he's doing. He's doing nothing but leaping in with a hook, and you're pulling back into the goddamn hook as if you're dead.
You got to win every round.
You're always going slapping you. Can't you throw some punches?
You got to win every round.
Throw a straight punch to the body and come back with a hook and another punch. And then as soon as you get finished, that throw some more punches. What the hell's the matter with you? Huh?
7th round.
Yeah,
You got 4 rounds to go.
My guy, you're not even tired. You're not throwing any punches. That can't hurt you. Keep him right hands up. Push him off you. Don't let him stay on. All you got to do is stick him with hard stuff. Go to the body. Go both hands. Go back. Block him and counter. You push to the body. Block him when you elbow. Punch him to the body.
Well, it's Ribalta. Dave, one of the problems I could hear in that corner is the fact that a lot of people are talking at the same time, and it's kind of hard to pick up what you want to do.
Really too many chiefs in there right now. He hears it all from every direction. It seemed like the most effective thing they told him was to try to push off and not just give away the inside the way you're thinking that he's doing.
So this is round number 7. And, of course, you heard in that corner that they say he needed every round. You gave Frazier the last round and got a dead even.
The last round, dead even. They would think he's probably losing like 4-2 and has to sweep it to get the 10-round knock.
Keep in mind, the last time we listened in there, they thought he was losing at 3-2, and again, felt that Frazier won the last round, so they feel he's got to win every one. And this is round 7. Frazier, who really didn't fight his fight through, particularly the first round, maybe a little bit more in the second round, really has started to put his game together much better here in the late round.
Starting to find a target now at the left hook as Ribalta's hand has come down, and he's been backpedaling in a way in which Frazier can track him down. The leaning, lunging left hook that Frazier likes to get everything in on is a sign of fatigue when you can get that punch in so freely.
Frazier, ranked number 12 by the WBC, would like nothing more than to get a top 10 contender after tonight's fight. Frazier, of course, at 205 pounds, the same as his father, but everybody knows the power that Smokin' Joe had inside. Marvis does not have that, and it's almost a question of how long he can go. Can he impress enough people to get the big shots and get a chance at a championship again?
I think based on his market value, he will if he keeps winning. Even if there are decisions, I don't think that he has to have the knockout. If you're going to talk about an edge in the name, that might be it. Getting the shot that some might not.
Big right hand by Marvis Frazier getting in. Marvis has got a cut, I think, now over the right eye. And he'll have to watch that here closely before this fight is all over. No, it's not over the eye. It's on the eyelid, it looks like, and it's on the left eye. Some blood is smeared across his forehead, but it is out of the left eye. Good uppercut that time by Ribalta. That may be one of the reasons that eye is starting to give him problems.
But how effectively can he fight off the ropes like this?
Ribalta comes waltzing out of there as you see the time winding in the 7th. Main event tonight from Atlantic City in the Trump Casino Hotel. Willie DeWitt winning an earlier second-round TKO. Marvin Mack beating Tim Brody in our tournament fight. Now the main event. Is it Frazier or is it Ribalta? Too close to call. We go to 8 in a moment. Sam Smith and Dave Bontempo, welcome back for round number 8 of a scheduled 10-round main event. Marvis Frazier, Nino Ribalta. That cut on the inside on the eyelid of the left eye of Marvis Frazier. John DiGiulio, the cut man, worked on in the corner, but it is in a bad position on the eyelid of the left eye. And now Frazier has to be very concerned about this fight possibly being stopped because of the cut.
That is about as dangerous as you can have with a cut because the blood can drip into the eye, which would force a vision problem and usually a stoppage. It looked like, as far as the blood flowing out, it wasn't as serious as some cuts could be, but the potential is there for danger.
I think Smokin' Joe kind of got the feeling that there was some concern. He said, you've got to make it quick now. You've got to get in and throw some punches. We'll watch it closely again on the eyelid of the left eye of Marvis Frazier.
He's been dipping the shoulder to try to throw that left hook and leaving himself open. Even at this point, it doesn't have to be a solid punch. Even just a smudge or a little nudge or a shove can make it work.
Interesting strategy by Marvis Frazier now, kind of dropping his hands to his hips and just kind of inviting the charge of Ribalta. Ribalta doesn't fight the bait and continues to back up a bit. Ribalta, who particularly in the first 3 rounds elected to stand and fight, maybe 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times during a round, has not done that here in the latter round.
His weapons are good. They'd be better from the center of the ring than where he's been throwing them. He's lost the power in the punches. If they're really serving as a deterrent like they were before.
If there is a punch that Marvis Frazier has really leaned on, it is indeed the left hook tonight. And he has been landing it extremely well.
Though he hasn't been going to the body with the right to set it up as much as he has in past fights.
And it's a go in the 8th. There's a looping overhand right, mostly on the shoulder by Ribalta. Jose Ribalta saying this is the biggest fight of his career. Biggest name, certainly, in Marvis Frazier. Frazier could be one of his tough ones, fighting a 6'5" man with a better reach, but he has responded to the challenge very well so far with a half a minute to go in the 8th. Ribalta, who has almost totally changed his strategy since early in the fight. Certainly the style and the perseverance of Marvis Frazier has dictated that.
He's a tired fighter now.
And That's the bell to end the 8th round. Well, we've been talking about Ribalta most of the night, what he's had to try to do. How about Frazier? Let's get Smoking Joe's great
All
card.
right, give me a little speed there. A little speed on the base. Speed on the base. Bang, bang, bang. The jab got to be there. You all right now? Yeah. All right. Now speed got to be coming out. You all right? Hands up. Feet up. Change up. All right. Body. Head. Body. Head. Overhand right. Overhand right. Then you fall down. Overhand right. Fall down. Look around us. Look around us.
9 round coming up.
9 coming up. All right. You got to be alert. You know you're going to come out bumping. How am I doing? Good. You win the round. You win the fight. You win the fight, but you can't do counts out there.
Keep your hands up. You know,
Hands up.
just know what you're doing.
You got to get them up now. You know, baseball yesterday.
Here we come in. One of the things about the cut, Dave, is we got a good close look at it. That is, what your opinion? How bad is the cut?
It's in a dangerous spot. I don't think the actual blood flow is as bad. If he can stay away, he won't be a stoppage victim. But Joe Frazier, I think because of that, changing his advice to Marvis between the rounds, saying throw the right hand and then fall back, that he wants to protect that side. The left hook has been Marvis's best punch, but Joe doesn't want to see what will happen to him. He'll pay for that with a shot over the eye.
And particularly the way that right uppercut has been landing rather successfully, and there it is again by Ribalta. The minute he throws the uppercut, here comes that left hook by Frazier again. John DiGiulio doing a great job on that cut. How about your scoring? Oh, you got Frazier in the lead now.
I think he's pretty much taken the initiative in the last 3 rounds. He's been tougher. He's been effectively aggressive, whereas in some of the middle rounds, I thought he was only aggressive and not necessarily effective with it.
We've already had a rather strange scorecard in one of our earlier fights, so hang on. Our unofficial scoring meaning very little with the 3 judges scoring here in New Jersey. Frazier chasing Ribalta. Ribalta, biggest fight of his career. Fought so well early. Now fatigue setting in a bit. Frazier's style starting to take its toll a bit. Frazier knowing full well, which looks like the way this fight is progressing, may be well on his way to his 4th consecutive 10-rounder.
And a shot toward getting back in the top 10. I don't think it's a knock against the guy to be racking up 10-round decisions, especially if you can be consistent and do it often enough where you look like you've got momentum going.
Ribalta coming off the ropes but not doing anything with it once he gets out there.
Frazier is getting in more of the nuisance stuff now. The short punches that will rack him up some points. They don't have to look terrific, but just from all different angles.
This is the 9th. They're scheduled for 10 on our main event tonight. Left hook continues to work well for Frazier. Ribalta not doing much to block it with that right hand. Again, not that much of a forceful punch, but again, it is with regularity.
Conditioning, stamina, very key now.
Marvis Frazier, amateur record, 56-2. Has lost only once as a pro. That's for the world champion Larry Holmes. Try to make a comeback back to the top of the ranks to get another shot at the title. Is he on his way? We'll go to the 10th and final round in a few moments. Marvis Frazier taking all the time during that rest period as we go to the 10th and final round of the main event tonight. Frazier again in the maroon trunks. Red, white, and blue, it is Nino Ribalta. Ribalta fighting so well early. Frazier's style starting to take over a little more in the mid-rounds and continues on in the 10th and final.
It's been a laboring type performance for Marvis Frazier tonight. Certainly not overpowering, but enough to win.
Height and reach advantage playing very little part in this fight now. It did early, but it does not now. There's a low blow thrown by Ribalta, as acknowledged by the referee for a moment. At least it appeared that Tony Perez had. Frazier acknowledged he's all right. Ribalta trying to stand and fight a little more again. Kind of reminiscent of the first 2 rounds.
Maybe this will be his his finishing spurt, whatever he has left.
John DiGiulio has done a great job on that cut on the left eye of Frazier. It appeared back in that 6th and 7th rounds that there was a danger, particularly where the cut was, that we might have an ending. He's done a good job on the cut. Good job by Frazier staying out of the way of that right hand, I guess, too. Dave, as we go to this end of the 10th round, how about your scorecard?
I would say it's now settled from a decision standpoint that Ribalta would need a knockout, which he doesn't seem likely to get at this moment.
And the assessment by his corner people, since almost about the 4th or 5th round, seems to be coming true, particularly on your card, that he needed all of the last rounds to win.
Frazier fought well over the second half, slowly gaining the confidence and really sensing where to go on Ribalta, and Ribalta getting tired, too.
Frazier. Just got a rope-a-dope a bit on the ropes. His dad hated to hear that word rope-a-dope, but nonetheless, there it is. So Marvis Frazier, to coin Dave's word, kind of a workmanlike performance here again tonight. Maybe well on his way to his 4th consecutive decision win, but again, we'll leave it to the judges. Ribalta almost literally running out of steam against the inside punching power of Frazier. Closing seconds of the 10th and final round of the main event tonight. And that's the end of the fight. As Frazier, hoping to improve his record of 15-1, fights off the taller with the reach advantage Nino Ribalta, who had hoped to fight the biggest fight of his career. And now it's all up to the judges as the scorecards are tallied. Each round collected, taken to the chief judge, and of course tabulated from that point on. And the way Ribalta had fought early, it looked like it was going to be a long night for Marvis Frazier, and indeed it was, to go 10 again. But nonetheless, the tide seemed to turn in that 3rd round, particularly.
He did find himself after the initial 2 rounds where Ribalta had been countering well and probably coasted to a comfortable decision based on what we would, think.
And it was an interesting part that how many times, particularly in earlier fights, we saw where one punch kind of turned things right around. But in this fight, there was not one punch. It was a culmination of punches, certainly, on Frazier's part. But no one punch ever sent Ribalta reeling or backing up that much. It was just an accumulation of punches that turned it, at least we feel, in the favor of Frazier tonight.
And I don't think that he was really as effective with his attack as he's been in other fights. He didn't go to the body as well. Ribalta had that covered up well and was concentrating on the defense and countering. So Marvis's offense for 5 rounds wasn't what we've seen.
Dave, you have seen so many fights here in Atlantic City, as I pointed out, probably seeing virtually one every night. You've seen all of the great heavyweights that are on the scene at this moment. And certainly, how about Marvis Frazier? There's so many knocks on his size and his lack of knockout power, that type of thing. How do you assess him right now?
I think he could positively fight anybody with a couple more fights in the second half of the top 10. As for being a champion, it's tough to say. You need a punch to be a champion, and I don't think that he's got that. But he's got enough to compete in the division and be fairly successful.
Well, he fought tonight against Jose Ribalta. Is it Ribalta or has Frazier picked up the victory? Michael Buffer's got the decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Trump Casino Hotel on the boardwalk in Atlantic City, New Jersey, here is the official scoring. We have a very close decision. Judge William Kostrub scores the bout 5 rounds to 5, a draw. Judge Milo Savage has it 5 rounds to 4 with 1 round even. And Judge Frank Burnett has it 6 rounds to 4. For the winner by majority decision, Marvis KO to Frazier. And let's have a hand.
Well, as we pointed out, it kind of depends on what side of the canvas you're watching from. Again, a 5-5 draw on one of the scorecards. but a majority decision. There's no looking back for Marvis Frazier as he wins again here tonight. We'll visit with him in a moment. His fourth consecutive decision win here tonight as he picks up a big win over Jose Ribalta. And one of the things, Marvis, that we were kind of amazed at, you didn't go to the body, we thought, early in the fight as much as we had anticipated. Was there a strategy you wanted to do?
Well, I wanted to take care of Jose's head. I didn't think, I thought he would be looking for me to go to the body, So I figured the head was wide open. Why not shoot for that,
One of the things about the cut, was there a great deal of concern late in the fight about the cut on the left eye?
Well, I would say it was a butt, I guess, around the 5th or the 6th round, And Fraziers don't usually cut, but, when you get butt, that's the way the story goes.
In the first 2 rounds, Marvis, he seemed to be counterpunching effectively, and then you seemed to take it away from him. What did you do?
Well, I would say there's so much confusion, not making any excuses. There's no excuses, for my performance. But sometimes the guys, they hold you, and you warm up, then you cool off, then you warm up, then you cool off. And I had to get my rhythm all going all over again.
What do you think was your most effective weapon?
I would say when I started finally touching to the body, it started slowing them down a little bit.
What's ahead for you, Marvis? Any plans right now?
Well, I would say it's up to my father, We're back to the drawing board, back on more of our work, back on sharpening up some things like the catching the uppercut, and different things like that.
Marvis, one of the things that's been a kind of a rap on you is the fact that you don't possess certainly the power of your father, and we're not going to try to compare one to the other. Have you ever thought of this as being a problem for you, the power inside?
I would say no. I've only lost one, and that was to the champion, so, I don't think that's a bad record.
Well, a big win tonight by Marvis Frazier as he picks it up here tonight over Jose Ribalta, a fighter that had the height and certainly the reach advantage on him, but Marvis getting inside and doing it as the agony defeat certainly felt by Ribalta, but certainly the victory felt here tonight for the 4th consecutive division win by Marvis Frazier. Is he on his way to another championship shot? Well, we'll find out. Stand by now as Joe Frazier Jr. steps into the ring next on Top of... We're back.